The coffee industry has suffered a crisis. As a consumer living in an affluent country, that may be hard to understand. The drink seems as popular as ever. Coffee drinking is a lifestyle and the market appears to be in excellent health. But get beneath the freeze-dried, vacuum-packed product on the shelves and the livelihoods of millions of people in the developing world are under threat. Worldwide, we'd spend $80 billion on coffee each year and drink 2.25 billion cups a day. Approximately 100 million people worldwide are thought to be employed in the coffee industry, and this includes 25 million small-scale farms supplying 50% of the world's coffee. But while consumers in the developed world enjoy a stable price and a regular supply, coffee producers in the developing world are having to accept a falling price for their raw produce. As a result, worker wages have been slashed, health and safety measures neglected, and environmental considerations forgotten. Oversupply, a succession of poor harvests and market concentration are all believed to have contributed to the crisis. Many experts also point to the collapse of the International Coffee Agreement in 1989 as a fundamental factor. This agreement had previously regulated the price of the coffee commodity market.
At the end of the 80s, when the liberalization process started and the free marketeers imposed new views on the economic environment, these commodity agreements were the first casualties of this new approach. And then we entered into a free market system for which the possibilities of acting on equal basis for producing countries were not clear. From 2000 to 2005, we have seen the worst ever in terms of price for producers, remuneration, and quality of the coffee.
And whatever the cause, the result has been a 70% drop in the price of raw coffee between 1997 and 2002, culminating in the lowest coffee price in real terms for 100 years. The effect on coffee-producing nations has proved disastrous, with an estimated loss of $4.5 billion a year to small coffee farms. This has had a catastrophic knock-on effect to the levels of poverty and led to wider social upheaval.
The labour conditions are very bad, wages are very low. There's the risk of contact with agrotoxic products. There are usually no particular standards for protection of the health and safety of these workers.
Coffee represents in many countries a very substantial part not only of revenues but of the social texture of the countries. You look like countries like the ones in Central America that lost almost half of the production during the last 5 years. Well, more than 500,000 jobs were lost in the region. That creates migration, pressure to moving to different countries, to the United States, to Europe. Coffee play, in many cases, even a political role, a security role in many countries.
Coffee consumers lose out too. While the pressure on production methods threatens the quality of the coffee bean, the savings made on raw coffee are not being transferred fully to the consumer in the form of lower prices.
The producers are receiving less and less, but the price at the retail end hasn't changed or been reduced to the same extent. The value is added in the roasting, in the branding, the packaging, and this is what is reflected in the retail price of coffee.
So what can be done? Intergovernmental organisations, civil society groups and an increasing number within the industry itself now recognise the vital importance of a fairer coffee trade. There's a general agreement that fundamental changes need to be made for the future sustainability of the market, the millions of people dependent on coffee production, and indeed the quality of coffee itself. The question is what and how? Well, the emerging certified coffee market is providing part of the solution. These coffees come with an independently certified guarantee that the product has been produced to a set of specific standards relating to fair trade, environmental protection or social development. The implementation and monitoring of these standards are funded by the slightly higher price or premium that consumers pay for the coffee. This allows consumers to influence the market with their purchasing power.
Consumers are very important. Certification is a process that starts in the farm and ends at the final consumer. Their decision-making at buying a product will determine the process inside the farm, living conditions, labor conditions, the relations of production with the communities. Consumers need to be aware of the importance when they buy any product.
The political and the social presence of these initiatives is very important, and it helps a lot to create reactions and awareness in the big environment of the mainstream of coffee.
Although the certified coffee sector is experiencing rapid growth, it's still very small, accounting for barely 2% of worldwide coffee consumption. The challenge now facing the certified coffee sector is how to further develop consumer demand. This needs to be done without confusing consumers about what the different certification labels actually mean. As a March 2004 World Bank report stated, there's an increasing need for consumers to understand the sometimes complex verification or certification processes that apply to standards-orientated coffees. The alternative may be a loss of consumer confidence that would cost the entire industry by damaging one of its few fast-growing segments.
When consumers buy coffee, they have a huge choice of products. There's a wide range of conventional brands and a growing variety of certified coffees. The certified coffee sector is expanding fast, posing even more questions for the consumer. Is this coffee good or bad for the environment? Does it guarantee a fair price for the farmer and a fair deal for the consumer? Who grants the certification and how is it independently verified? Does the coffee still taste good? Consumers International has teamed up with the International Institute for Environmental Development and consumer member organisations in Europe, United States, Asia, Africa and Latin America to look at the coffee chain from bean to cup. We asked, how do certified coffees actually help coffee farmers? What are the real and lasting benefits to coffee producers? And how can this be communicated to the consumer to ensure they're given a real choice?
This is Minas Gerais, the leading coffee-producing state in Brazil, the leading coffee-producing country in the world. Brazil produces and exports over 40% of the world's coffee and is itself the world's second-largest coffee consumer. Coffee production in Minas Gerais supports 3.7 million people and boasts a diverse range of coffee cultivation methods, including several well-established certified initiatives. Here we profile 4 of the most prominent: UTSCAPE, Rainforest Alliance, Organic and Fair Trade. The UTSCAPE certification label works with 77 certified producers and sells coffee through big brand manufacturers across Europe and North America. Farmers are certified by an independent third-party auditor against the UTSCAPE Code of Conduct. This requires minimum standards of good agricultural practice, including the provision of protective clothing for workers. Social development programs are also key. As part of its UTSCAPE certification, large-scale producer Ipanema Coffee has funded a number of development initiatives, including education programs for the local community and also a textile factory for the wives of its farm workers.
The textile factory started this year. They were taught in marketing and also in how to sew and other things, silking and etc. And nowadays they provide our uniforms, they prepare our uniforms, we pay for that, and other companies in town also take advantage of this factory. This is very important for the social aspects that certifications such as UTSCAPE demand.
UTSCAPE promotes farming, marketing and financial practices that bring social and environmental initiatives into the mainstream coffee market. They provide technical assistance and credit facilities to producers to help improve farm management and lower production costs, and also guarantees that farmers receive a premium above market price when they meet the requirements of certification. The Rainforest Alliance certification scheme involves a set of sustainability standards covering ecosystem conservation and good conditions for farm workers. Community relations, natural forest corridors, integrated crop management and conservation of native vegetation and water resources are all part of the certification. Thousands of farms and cooperatives have been certified in 12 countries, covering just under 30,000 hectares of tropical farmland. The Sete Cachoeiras farm in Minas Gerais is one such fazenda.
A parte ambiental é outro requisito que as certificações avaliam, e a Rainforest Alliance ela pega mais pesado, ela enfatiza mais essa parte. Quase trabalho nenhum na parte ambiental, porque ela já tem matas remanescentes, ela tem elos de ligação da mata de topo com as matas ciliares, a mata. Então tem os corredores, que eles dizem, e a gente faz também um trabalho no ribeirão que passa dentro da nossa propriedade, A gente faz uma captação da água da entrada da propriedade e na saída para ver se a gente está poluindo, se a gente está causando algum dano a essa água. Isso a gente tem outorga de uso dessas águas, tanto de consumo, tanto de equipamento de despolpador.
Essential to the Rainforest Alliance scheme is its commitment to promoting wildlife and ecosystem conservation on its certified farms. This gives coffee farmers the option to differentiate their product and gain access to new and alternative markets. Workers have benefited from better working conditions, including protective equipment, housing and healthcare. The Cooperativa dos Agricultores Familiares de Poço Fundo, also known as CoopFam, is the cooperative of small family-owned farms producing coffee that is fair trade and, in the most part, organic. Organic certified coffee is becoming increasingly popular with consumers and currently accounts for approximately 0.7% of world production, giving it the largest slice of the certified coffee market. The key feature of certification is the way that coffee is produced. The use of pesticides is prohibited, and farmers must use natural fertilizers. Crop integration is encouraged to ensure soil preservation.
A diferença do plantio orgânico é você ter criar um ambiente de trabalho onde você trabalha com segurança, com tranquilidade, onde você possa trazer seus filhos, você pode trabalhar com tranquilidade, pode ter contato com a terra com grande tranquilidade, você não tem nenhum tipo de agrotóxico. Isso é benéfico à saúde, ao solo e também tentando, em cima disso, uma agregação de valor em cima de um produto da qual você está fazendo biologicamente correto.
As the term suggests, organically certified coffee is guaranteed to be produced without genetic modification or the use of chemical pesticides or fertilizers. Organic farming strives to ensure an ecological balance through the protection of natural habitats and the maintenance of agricultural diversity. Production is safer for the farmer and local community as well as the end consumer. Although fair trade certified coffee currently makes up only 0.3% of world production, sales increased by approximately 26% between 2003 and 2004. The key feature of certification is the guaranteed set price received by the farmer. This price guarantee has allowed the small-scale farmers of the CoopFam cooperative to purchase a communal storage and processing facility and invest in computer training facilities and healthcare. As a result, the cooperative can keep a greater share of the coffee price within the community to reinvest in machinery and their families' futures.
Com fair trade, você trabalha com preço mínimo determinado. E esse preço mínimo, ele dá condições de você projetar o seu negócio, né? Traz mais garantia para a sua família. Seu filho não precisa sair da escola para vir ajudar no orçamento familiar. Ele pode continuar estudando tranquilamente. Você tem toda uma situação de conforto na propriedade para que você fique no campo produzindo e não precisa você ir para a cidade para arrumar uma outra atividade, uma outra fonte de renda. Ou seja, o produto seu recebe um preço justo que garante você e sua família viver bem na comunidade, na roça onde você mora.
Fair Trade's principal criteria is to guarantee the farmers a minimum price that covers costs of sustainable production and living. The label works with cooperatives and organised groups of small-scale farms and provides funds for use in community development projects. Fair Trade also works with organised workers whose employers pay decent wages, guarantee the right to join trade unions and provide good housing. The 4 certification schemes outlined here offer a range of benefits, but it must not be forgotten that these successes are just a drop in the ocean. Although there is an increasing number of initiatives, the overwhelming majority of coffee producers still struggle on through unfair, unjust and unsustainable market conditions. There are still many barriers to conventional producers, particularly the small farms, wishing to join these certification schemes.
There are many people that haven't been able to accede to the certifying process, and they complain, why I am not certified, why my neighbor is and I am not, because that involves a cost, that involves an investment. I receive that as a very positive contribution, but it's very limited. It's very limited, and that is when we need to learn from that experience and see how these procedures could be adapted to the mainstream.
There are an increasing number of schemes, and to access markets they have to have certifications, not just of one scheme but of a number of schemes, and all these schemes have their own requirements and their own audit procedures. So it means that small farmers are having to pay out several sets of audits. So what would be good would be to find some way of streamlining the audit requirements.
Barriers to increased consumer demand also need to be tackled. Consumers need to see these certified coffees when they visit the supermarkets. They need to believe in the quality of the product, and they need to understand what the certification labels mean. Inadequate information will simply turn potential consumers away.
I think more and better information about certified coffee would help to build the market for certified coffees. If consumers understood that higher price meant that the farmers were earning more per pound of coffee and that the environment was not being polluted, I think they would be willing to pay more.
Some consumers will find information on the package useful, but there's a limit to how much information you can put on a package. What could be useful is for companies to have some kind of follow-up service available on their website.
Unfortunately, it's not a book. You buy a package of coffee with a limited amount of space. So what we try to do is give a little background and then add on or give opportunities to go directly to a website, more like an after-sales service, and to create a loyal consumer.
I think what retailers can do to make it easier for the consumer to choose the certified coffees is actually to leave them some space in the supermarkets. This is, I think, a challenge for the labeling organizations to convince the retailers to do so.
Certainly what we have experienced in Denmark in terms of communicating to the consumers is that it's most effectively done at the where they do their daily shopping. We do actually make a lot of efforts in Danish supermarkets to make different kind of displays where they can mix all the products. So we go very close to the supermarket chain and cooperate with them in getting the products onto the shelf and over the counter.
There's also a misunderstanding over the quality of certified coffee that needs to be addressed. Fair trade, organic and rainforest-aligned coffees have all won international acclaim for their taste, including the coveted Cup of Excellence. They've also received praise from someone who really should know what a good coffee tastes like.
My name is Troels Poulsen and I'm the World Barista Champion 2005. In the competition, the coffee that we used is Rainforest Alliance. I don't have any doubts that the average consumer is able to go out into the market, buy sustainable coffee, and be perfectly happy with how it's brewed at home, and the taste in the cup at home.
By choosing a coffee product that has been awarded a certification label, consumers are making a positive difference. By paying extra, consumers are not only buying a good quality coffee, they're also improving the lives of the farmer, his family and the environment. A fair and just coffee industry needs sustainability, from the worker in the field right through to the final product on the supermarket shelf. And the certified coffee market is a significant step in this direction.
If, as seems likely, consumer demand for certified coffees continues to grow, Consumers International strongly believes we need to make changes at all stages in the coffee chain to make it sustainable for both the producer and the consumer. We want more visibility for certified coffees and more information on how official certification schemes differ from each other and from conventional coffees. We want greater traceability and transparency throughout the chain. We want certified coffee promoted through buyers' networks, measures to reduce barriers to application and evaluation procedures. This is so more small-scale producers can join certification schemes. Consumers have rights and responsibilities. They have a right to clear, transparent and credible information about the impact of their purchasing choices. But they also have a responsibility to make choices that can make a positive difference by improving the environmental and social welfare of producing communities, especially those in the developing world. Choices that benefit everybody, from coffee producers to coffee consumers.